Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
David, welcome back. Today is my favorite day.
Yes, it is.
I like the shirt.
Thank you. This is my wife's 70s retro look that she wants me to wear. I did another shirt like this Sunday too.
But you're colorblind.
Yeah, but I don't care. I don't care what I'm wearing. She just gives it to me and I wear it.
This is true. So, I have a good question for you.
Yeah.
Will you please help us be informed?
Be more informed, huh?
Help us be more
informed. That's a great question. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the platforms of both the Republican and Democrat Party, because what we want to do as Christians, we need to keep these people who we're voting in and be our employees, basically, and putting them in places of power, that they're going to be accountable to what they believe. And I'm going to read a verse, and then we're going to go through this whole process. So, Jesus is speaking in Matthew chapter 5. Chapter 5 is the Beatitudes. This is the Sermon on the Mount. Very famous sermon, the most famous sermon ever done throughout the history of mankind. And one part, he starts talking about oaths. And he starts talking about that you need to keep those oaths. And don't take them if you're not going to follow through, right? We need to keep our politicians accountable to follow through when they say they're going to do this, all right? So at the end of in verse 37, after he kind of talks about the oaths, he says, make sure your statement is this: yes, yes, or no, no. Anything beyond these is of evil origin. So he's basically saying, make sure your yes be yes and your no be no. And don't play anything, because it is considered evil if you change your statements to get something else, like being codependent, people pleaser. Instead of saying, I know this is what I believe, I'm going to change because these people don't like it, that kind of thing. That's not what Jesus is saying. Make your yes be yes and your no be no. So let's get to the platform.
Let's get to it.
We're going to look at Republican and Democratic platforms, because this is where you can be informed, and that's why we want to be more informed, right? So Sam, which one are you reading out first?
Well,
okay.
I only found one.
What do you mean?
I only found a Republican platform.
Okay, why don't we have the Democrat platform?
I don't know. Why don't we have the platform? Why don't we have the...
Okay, so Democrat Party. Please help us be more informed.
Yes, absolutely.
We as Christians can't vote for you if we don't know what you stand on. Now, we have heard some things of what they've stood on. And one of them, at least because we watched the Democratic convention, we want to be informed people. And we want to be informed pastors. Now, we're conservative pastors within, we'll call Christendom. We look at the Bible as God's sole authority. That's how we look at things. So we're going to take the Bible literally, and that's a conservative worldview and biblical worldview. So what is one of the big things we saw with the Democratic Party, which was a lot of fun? I mean, they had a lot of fun, a lot of things going on. Yeah. So what was the number one thing?
Abortion on demand.
Abortion on demand. So
up to birth.
Okay. So their yes is abortion, at least what we know. It's not on the platform yet because we don't know. So please put it out there. If this is not what you believe in, the Democratic platform, or people who are voting Democrat and are watching this, we want to be informed. So if their platform is yes, we want abortion on demand, yes, that is our yes. We also saw at the convention they had a big IUD there. They had buses that you could go to get a vasectomy. You can go in there and get an abortion. I mean, that's what they believe. Okay. So as conservative Christians, our yes and yes or no be no would be what to that?
No to abortion.
No.
Now, the rest of it was birth control. And some families,
oh, that's right. Their big thing was that we should have birth control. Well, some people in the Christian community
don't believe that.
Right. Okay, that's their what do you call it? That's their yes.
Yeah.
Right? Their yes is that. I personally don't agree with that, but that's just me, and I'm putting it out there as a believer. I don't see in Scripture that talks about that being life yet. Life has not taken place until that sperm and that
egg are together.
Yeah, and that's my science background. I taught science, so my science background will tell me that is true.
Yeah.
But I understand where someone stands on that.
Yes.
And the Democratic Party is just, hey, let's give everybody this and be sexually free in everything we do, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole motivation behind the birth control and the
is to have
IUDs
sex on demand, be able to just have a sexual relationship with anybody, and our yes and yes and no be no. If they're saying that we should be able to just go out and have sex with anybody, well, on a political scale, government doesn't need to get involved with that.
Right, exactly.
Right? But on a biblical scale, as pastors, and what the Bible says, we're supposed to live a pure life, we would say, no. Scripture says that we have sex within the context of marriage between one man and one woman.
Right.
But that's not a political issue.
Yeah,
that's just we're talking about about biblical issues. So let's go to at least the Republican, and hopefully next week the Democrat Party has their platform, and we can go through that.
Right.
Okay. But that's all we know with the Democratic Party. Really know with the Democratic Party, that's their number one thing.
So. That's their number one thing. Now, this information is taken from the American Presidency Project, the 2024 GOP platform. Obviously,
so this is the platform. This is the thing where they have 20 of them.
Yep.
And then you click on it and you can go through the big definition.
It's expanded. It gives you the big definition, gives you an idea of where they really want it.
So let's go through, we'll just number 1, number 2, and we're going to look biblically on these.
Yep.
Some of them will just go, there's no biblical answer to this. You guys need to make your decision on that. So let's go through that.
So their dedication is to the forgotten men and women of America. The preamble is America First, a return to common sense.
Okay.
So item number 1 on their platform is seal the border and stop the migrant invasion.
Okay. So on a biblical side, we're supposed to be following the laws of the government, correct?
Yep.
If we feel like they're totally unjust, we need to go through the process to make them unjust.
Yep.
I personally believe on my end that you go by the laws. We already had laws on the border. It was our president that we have right now who's broken those laws and has not followed it. And then suddenly in the last, really in the last couple of months, has tried to change that and saying, hey, this is what we want a closed border, but their closed border is if we get over 2 million people coming in on a specific day or whatever it is, then we'll close the borders. That's not closed borders. So
well, try to go to Canada without your passport.
You can't. So what we want is what we're talking about here. They're saying is have a closed border, have legal immigration take place. Now I want to do it with your family because we're finding that illegal people coming in are getting more than the legal people coming in.
Absolutely.
So can you explain that real quick?
And
it's just wrong.
It's
your
wrong.
yes be yes, your no be no.
And so there's a whole process with my family is United for Ukraine. And I would say if Joe Biden did anything right, it was to implement that because I was able to get my family here.
Get your family out.
However,
the
program has so many flaws to it. But here's the process.
Let's just go to basic stuff.
The basic stuff. So you make the application, they get approved, they get a document that says they're legal to come into the country.
So then they come in.
They have to go through Customs and Border Patrol.
Right.
Everything has to be right. When they get here, they have certain things that they have to do
to fill out
their obligations. The one thing, in order for them to work, they have to apply for what's called an EAD, an employment authorization document, which gives them the picture. They do biometrics. I mean,
so we know who they are.
We know who they are.
And that's the wild part. You go through this whole, because we could keep going on this, but as far as there's a lot to it.
A lot.
And they get legal documents. We know who they are when they're coming in. And that makes sense. That's how we should be doing it, right? But we're finding out that illegals who are coming through our border illegally, coming in here, they're human beings. They're made in God's image, but they're breaking the law.
They're breaking the law.
So they're breaking the law. We should be following our laws to say you can't be here. We need to put up something that makes that border that they could come through legally. And that protects us on the long run from people coming in illegally here who could cause a lot of damage, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain.
Well, and doing it legally vets everybody.
It does. And that way we stop the criminals and the people who are insane, that some of the insane asylums got opened up, and those who want to destroy our country. All right. So that's the number one thing. Yep. As far as for where we are at, follow the law. The law is having a wall and we're actually doing the border and making sure that people come in legally. Yep. No illegal anything should be coming in through this into the United States at all. And honestly, go to other nations, they don't let this happen.
No, they don't.
This is a ploy basically to get people in here illegally and then vote illegally, which we're going to get to later on.
Right. So part 2 of that is to carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. So that speaks to itself.
It's a policing of saying you're here illegally. We need to have you out of here and come through legally, like your family did.
Right.
And actually, we have a bunch of immigrants in our church.
We do have a bunch. Yeah.
And they've all come in legally.
And from Latin America, from Europe, from all over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So point number 3 is end inflation.
And by the way, they're the most conservative.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They're the most conservative
when people come legally, they're fairly
escaping,
conservative.
and they're escaping the places where people are out of control and lawlessness and honestly, socialism and communism. They're trying to get away from that.
Yes, they are. They are. So point number 3 is to end inflation and make America affordable again.
Well, I think that you would hear that from the Democratic Party too. Honestly,
I think so. I think that when you get into the descriptions
will be different, and we already know that the Democratic Party, at least the leader of the Democratic Party, which happens to be not Joe Biden. Right. It happens to be Kamala Harris at this moment, and Kamala has already said she's going to do. We talked about this last week. Right. Price controls. Yep. On food, eventually on housing. And if you talk to any professional anywhere in those fields, they'll say there's the dumbest thing you could ever do. Ruin the economy. Yep. It's horrible. So she doesn't know what she's talking about there. And we know that she's not an economist. I doubt they'll have that on their platform.
I doubt they will.
Doubt they'll have that on the platform. But let's see what happens. If they do, they're going to lose the election.
Yeah, exactly.
So
point number
again, Democratic Party, give us your point.
Yeah, we want to know. Okay, so point number 4, I think, is probably by far one of the one thing that really can begin to turn the economy around is make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far.
Yeah, and again, politically, I could hear that.
Yep.
As far as biblically, I don't know what we do with that. It's just where's your belief system? If they're going to be drilling for oil, fracking, that kind of stuff, if they do it responsibly, it makes sense. If they're destroying and poisoning places, that's not a good thing. Yeah. And neither of us would agree with that. No. And by the way, most conservatives don't want the planet to be ruined.
No.
But we also want to be wise in what we're doing. And we need the energy to be able to really support ourselves and protect ourselves.
So back in the 80s, so I'm going back a little bit, I worked for an energy company. Yeah. It was called Pacific Power and Light at the time. You were in California.
Yeah,
you probably knew that. PG&E, right? Pacific Gas and Electric. Anyway, I worked at a coal-fired power plant.
Okay.
Back then, they had certain metrics they had to meet for SO2 emissions. Yes. And those were changing. So what was called a scrubber was built. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying anything out of turn. We had to turn down the scrubber so we could put a little bit of pollution in, because once we could get zero pollution out of that coal-fired power plant. But that was in Wyoming. Okay? What was the effect on the East Coast power plants? Because low sulfur coal versus high sulfur coal.
Yeah.
And so we had to meet the standards here. And so it was really interesting to me when I worked there. But it's possible to do all this stuff efficiently and clean.
And PG&E though screwed up. They screwed up a couple of times.
Yep.
They got blasted. Aaron Brockovich, the movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and that's a real person who went after them because they poisoned a bunch of people.
Yep.
Well, they should be accountable to that.
Absolutely, and they were.
And they were.
Yeah.
And so we're all for that. I'm not. We want the environment going well, but we do not praise the environment. We do not
worship the
environment. The environment is made, our world is made, and the universe made by Almighty God, El Shaddai. We know that. Right. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God, three persons. We got that.
Well, and when I left Wyoming, the amount of coal was enough to power the United States for like 200 years.
I know.
So we have the resources.
We have
right?
the resources,
Yep.
and that's the sad part, and we need to do that. Okay, go ahead.
So stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. That's point number 5.
That's taking care of your family.
Taking care of the family.
So
right.
in biblical terms, we're supposed to take care of the family, and that is an important thing, while also reaching out to the alien and the person that's out there. But we're doing it legally, and we could bring them in like we already talked about. But we need to take care of the family, and we need to make sure that people get jobs.
Yes, absolutely.
So biblically, we could look at that way, but that'd be almost a little bit of a stretch. I mean, we're trying to stretch the family into the nation, but we do need to take care of our nation so we can help other people.
Absolutely.
Got to put the oxygen mask on here so you can go help the people next to you.
That's right.
So, all right.
6 is large tax cut for workers and no tax on tips.
Again, biblically, I don't see anything there that we can do other than it would help some people out financially, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the problem was the Biden administration was trying to get a bunch of new IRS agents, and by the way, Kamala Harris was the vote on that to do that.
She was the tiebreaker.
She was the tiebreaker.
Yep.
The problem is that the Republican Party had the purse strings in the House, so she couldn't hire that
87,000
IRS people who could have guns,
right,
to go check out these people.
Yeah.
It was they specifically said they were going after them.
Yep.
Which is really interesting. So again, Democratic Party, would you please give us your platform? Because right now we've heard this stuff, so we're putting it out there of what we've heard. We don't read it. So if we're wrong, we will say we were wrong on this.
Yeah,
okay.
You put it out there, we'll bring it back.
Yep.
So number 7 is defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, religion, and the right to keep and bear arms.
It's from the beginning of this.
Right from the beginning.
It's our Constitution, and that makes sense.
And here's the thing: every politician who works for us swore
they would follow that
to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah, they shouldn't be messing with those things. That's an easy. I don't know why we even have that on there, but we have a problem with, honestly, the Democratic Party, who's trying to take those rights away.
They're trying to take.
They're also, you see censorship taking place among some of the big companies and some of the news companies that are all kind of together, and so it's hard to get a conservative view out there. It's just a reality of it. That should not happen. That we should be in a free nation, free flow of ideas. You believe in abortion? Great.
Yep.
I don't. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
I mean, instead of
there's nothing to fight over.
Yeah, I don't, and they go, nope, and you can't talk.
Yeah.
And we're not going to let you talk on FaceTime or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Those kinds. Well, Twitter now you can. It's totally free. But ABC, NBC, CBS, and you're not going to get shut down. CNN
and that needs to stop.
And Fox does that at times too. You got to be careful about that.
They all do.
No censorship.
One of the biggest censorships that we've seen in the last few days was RFK's speech.
Yeah.
They started talking over him when he started talking about everything, and it's like
CNN shut it down after just a couple of moments.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
Yeah,
and that shouldn't happen.
No, it shouldn't.
All of these news agencies need to be news agencies.
Yes.
Not just be for one party, and honestly, that's what you see here, and we know that. And anybody who has any eyes will know that too.
Yeah.
So, I could see why they're doing that, and that's a platform that honestly the Democratic Party should be fighting for. Read it again.
Excuse me. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, religion, and the right to bear arms.
The Democratic Party should be. It's going to probably be on their platform.
That should be on their platform.
It will probably be on their platform.
Yeah.
So even though other people don't want it, I'm sure it's going to be on their platform. And if it's not, we will say it's not, and we'll go after that.
Point number 8 was prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country.
So we have that over Israel. We've helped Israel.
Yeah, and that's what's keeping Israel safe.
Well, and I think that's wise. That's protecting your homeland. Why not? If you have the technology, do it.
Yep.
But it has to be built here.
Yes.
The manufacturing coming in.
It has to be.
We have to start doing that again.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's get the jobs to our people.
Number 9, people. To me, this is just really important. And the weaponization of government against the American people.
And what do you mean by that?
So,
what do they mean by that? Against the American people.
So, what was done to President Trump could be done to any businessman in New York.
Well, it's been done to JFK. They went after too.
They went after JFK.
And they've done it
they went after Martin Luther King Jr.
They've gone after a lot of people over the years.
Yep.
This is nothing new.
Not just Republicans.
No, this is nothing
Democrats,
new.
but they've done it both sides.
They've gone both sides, and they've done it over the years and kind of gone in waves. And that should never happen.
Yep.
That should never happen.
And part of the
how do you clean that up as a big?
Well, the last Supreme Court decision on I can't remember the law, but anyway, to begin to end some government regulations, and that will help part of it.
Okay.
10 goes back to immigration, stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders.
Okay, so I get that. That's just protecting your family, your homeland, protecting our women, our children, the people of this country. That just makes sense. I imagine the Democratic Party will have that on there too. They have to because we are having a problem with this and it needs to be stopped.
Yep.
And so. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's just reasonable.
Common sense.
It's not, again, biblically, yes, we're supposed to protect the weak and that cannot protect themselves.
Right.
I get that, but I can't tie that in a biblical setting other than I just know that we've seen it in the Bible. We talked about Nehemiah making a wall and protecting by giving them weapons and protecting them, and we see throughout history, in biblical history. How God's people had to protect themselves and rely on God to do that. And when they didn't rely on God, God made sure that He made sure that they weren't protected.
Right.
So
exactly.
I could see the protection there. I think I'd be stretching it if I tried to put it into a biblical form. Yeah.
Say the next one is rebuild our cities. It's point 11, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. And that should be up to the mayors and the local politicians.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at it going, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But that's really that's mayoral stuff.
That's a local.
But the president lives there.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know how I can't tell you exactly how Washington D.C. works. It's such a weird place because you have it as its own entity, right? It's not a state, and it shouldn't be. And you have the president there, but it's its own city. And the city is run by its own people, but then
Congress gets to say what they can and can't do.
What they're going to do.
Yeah, right.
So it's very interesting. I would love to see Washington, D.C. in every city. We all want to see them clean
again.
And we want them all safe. And I would imagine the Democratic Party will put that in there too. Okay.
So 12 is strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world.
And I would say yes, obviously, to protect ourselves, but not at the risk of going into a bunch of wars.
No.
There's no need for it.
No.
Just make yourself strong so you don't have to be in wars.
Well, deterrence through strength.
Yes.
Is what it boils down to. Yeah.
Yeah, because you start getting in other wars, then you start building up some very illegal stuff that goes on with people selling lots of weapons and stuff all over the place. So, yeah.
So 13 is keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency.
I mean, everybody wants that,
That's
right? We
economy.
want that. I know that China wants to make theirs the currency. Every country does that. The only way you can do that is make yourself the strongest financially, right? I mean, that's
exactly.
So whichever party makes us the strongest financially, that's probably where I'm going to be leaning to.
Right.
I imagine you would too.
Yes, absolutely. So 14 is fight for and protect Social Security, Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age, and.
I mean, wouldn't the Democratic Party be for that too?
You would think. Well, they keep saying that.
I don't see how they would ever.
They have to be for that.
Again, Democratic Party, will you please put your platform out? We'd like. Matter of fact, take it in this form. Do it in this form. I know we don't have a lot of people watching this, but would you put it in this form just so we can understand it?
Yep, absolutely. 15 is cancel the electric vehicle mandate, cut costly and burdensome regulations.
Well, that's when you get in the government into our capitalist, way of doing finances. Let the businesses do it.
Yep.
And get your hands out of it. We have a lot of Republican and Democrat that put a lot of money in certain places because then they get the votes of certain people.
Yep, exactly.
But if people want to buy electric cars, let them buy the electric cars. If people want to buy combustible cars,
yeah. But I think you take the subsidies away.
Yes,
and that's okay. If Mazda does what Mazda did back in the late 70s, they have brought back the rotary.
There we go.
I read a real brief article. I don't know much about it, but I really love Mazda's rotary engine. 16 is cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our
pastors
children.
And biblical people, the whole LGBTQT mindset is something that we totally disagree with.
Yes, absolutely.
Biblically it's wrong. That is a sexual sin. That is really a sexual religion. It's become that. And throughout history, there are sexual religions everywhere. We see them in the Bible all the time. And they all went down a bad road. And so we will fight that. Our yes would be yes to going against that and going for this. So yes.
So 17 is keep men out of women's sports.
Yes. That's
Absolutely.
Another perversion of our sexual identity, who God made us. Take that out of there.
Yep. 18 is deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic.
So we need to be careful. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
But they do have a right to speak their point of view.
Yes.
And that, again, if we take the freedom of speech out that we already talked about.
Right.
So I'm concerned about that one.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, they're saying radicals.
Yes.
So who do you define as a radical?
And who defines radical?
Correct. And then if they go onto a campus and take over a campus, yes, get them out. That's a radical that's causing trouble, going against the law. Boot them out, never let them come back in here again.
Right.
But if somebody's from Hamas, and I don't agree with Hamas, Hamas is deadly. They hate Jews, hate Christians, flat out say that. Then I would say if they do something illegal, and yes, they get booted out.
Well, and if they're here on student visas,
that's what I mean.
They're shutting down colleges.
And it's either do something illegal. There's no reason to let you have right to be here.
Right.
If you're an American citizen, speak what you believe is true, but do it legally. But if you're not an American citizen, you come in here and cause trouble on our campuses, you're not an American citizen.
Yep.
I'm okay with that if that's what they mean.
Right. I believe that's
but we
what
have
it
to
is.
be real
We have to be real careful.
And we need to have people watching that to make sure that people's rights aren't taken away.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, Sid. Citizens'
rights. Yes. 19 is secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship.
You know what? I think yes. And it was funny when I think we talked about this last week. I watched something on the news, and this guy actually online, and he brought an illegal alien. He said, "Here's an illegal alien. Say hi." And he goes, "Hi." He didn't care because he's not going to get in trouble. And he wanted to walk him into the Democratic Party convention. As he walked up, he goes, "Hey, I got my friend Jose here. I want to come in. I have my credentials. He needs to walk in. We just need to walk in so he can meet everybody and thank him for letting him be here." And they go, "No, you can't come in." And they had a huge wall around the Democratic National Convention. They had tons of people watching the door to come in. And he said, "So we can have open borders to walk in, but you can't have an open door here." Yes, that's what they said. And I went, wow. Okay, you just proved everything wrong. So the idiocy, come on, man. Let's make sure we get the borders as we're supposed to do. And it makes total sense.
So 20, the final point is unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success.
Everyone wants that. Democratic Party, Republican Party wants that. So now this is what we want to do because we're gone long. We want you, Democratic Party, would you agree?
I agree.
Give us your platform so we could do this with you as well. And let everybody else do it too. This is the battle of ideas. And if the Democratic Party has a real good battle of ideas, then we can listen to it and really kind of compare and contrast. But Kennedy just left the Democratic Party and endorsed President Trump, which I never thought in a million years I'd ever hear. And they don't agree on everything. No. He won't agree with everything on this platform.
Oh, no, not at all.
But he will agree with most of it. And I'm wondering why he left. And we know why. He was censored. And he was not given an opportunity to debate, even though he had people and got on different states on the ballot. There's a problem.
This is the same thing we were talking about. Average American citizens. They sued him in every state that he tried to put.
You can't do that, man.
You can't do that. People got to have a voice.
Yeah. So we need to know why that happened, and the Democratic Party needs to put out their platform. So please put out your platform. We want to be informed.
Yes, we want to be informed.
We want to be informed.
We did go a little bit long, but today is our favorite day. Today's my favorite day.
It doesn't matter.
David Towner, Sam McKeown. Live intentionally, be very blessed.
God's in charge, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Balt. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.